Hi, it's John. Welcome to my channel EV Intuition, where I'm helping you understand about electric vehicles. Hey, over the last several months, I've been driving throughout my state and took a couple vacations outside of the state. And I've been looking as I've been traveling at the price of fast chargers. And I've been noticing that the cost of some of them seem to be much higher than that of the Tesla superchargers that I've been paying here when I've been driving my Tesla Model Y throughout New York State. And so I wanted to do a survey and really find out what is the difference between the cost of fast charging with different companies and how do they compare to Tesla. So let's take a look at that and get started. Before I begin today, I wanted to remind you that if you like the content of my channel, please subscribe and give me a like. If you have any comments, please include them also. Today I'm talking about the cost of fast charging. As I noticed the disparity between different fast chargers when I've been charging with some rental cars and with my vehicle, I seem to notice quite a big difference between Tesla supercharging and others. So what I did is take a survey for fast charging throughout upstate New York. Now, I live in upstate New York, and if you're not familiar with New York, what we refer to as upstate New York is really the rest of New York outside of New York City. New York City is in the lower east side of the state, so anything north and west of New York City is kind of considered upstate New York. And the reason why we separate New York City from the rest of the state, New York City being one of the largest cities in the country and the world, tends to have higher prices, so to be more reflective of the country, I'm just talking about upstate New York. And so what I did was look at the different companies and the cost from Buffalo all the way to just north of New York City, and what's the cost of charging your EVs. Now in New York State, the electricity is provided on a cost base of per kilowatt hour. Some states charge you per how much time that you spend on the charger, but New York State makes it pretty simple. It's just cost per kilowatt hour of energy that you get. So I surveyed pretty much from Buffalo to downstate New York and various locations, and then just took an average. Now the two main companies in New York State that do electric vehicle charging are the Tesla superchargers and Electrify America. I know in other states it might be slightly different, but I also included two other companies, call them. One is EVgo, which has a small presence in New York State, mostly on the east side. And then the other company is along the main thoroughfare in New York State, which is referred to as the New York State Thruway. It's a tollway. They have various travel stops where you can get food and take a bathroom break, but they also have gas stations. And now at each of those locations, they're starting to build electric vehicle chargers, fast chargers. And so I took a survey of the cost of those chargers across the state as the fourth company. So let's take a look at the results there I see. First of all I did in this chart is show you a total of 6 different locations, like I said, ranging from the most western part, Buffalo, to just north in New York City. So it's essentially Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Albany to downstate. And this is kind of where this data comes from. And the other thing that you'll notice is that the Tesla supercharger has 2 columns. Now, if you've listened to one of my other videos on Tesla supercharging, you know that today, if you have a non-Tesla vehicle, you can charge it at some Tesla superchargers. What Tesla does it either through an adapter or they have an adapter built into the supercharger itself. There's various types of superchargers and you have to look those up. The thing about that, and I mentioned it in the video, is that Tesla does charge non-Tesla vehicles a premium. And you'll see this as you look at the data, just comparison with the Tesla versus the non-Tesla. These are the same stops in locations, and you can see the comparison, and there's always a premium price, or a higher price, I should say, if you don't have a Tesla. So Tesla's charging a little more. And the other thing that I want to point out here is that you'll see single prices on some locations of Tesla supercharger locations. They do charge based on the busyness of the day. You know, peak time might be between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. and they might charge a higher rate versus the hours outside of that. And that happens at several locations. And the price that I included here was an off-peak price. Usually they have two off-peaks. I picked the middle one. EVgo also has some of these in their pricing, that they have peak pricing and off-peak pricing. So once again, I tried to not take the highest price or the lowest price. Tried to pick something in between, just for comparison's sake, and just to keep it simple. That's what you see in the superchargers, those two columns and what they mean. The other one, Electrify America, which happens to be the next biggest to Tesla, has locations throughout. And the one thing you have to keep in mind here is I picked these prices using their app. They may not exactly reflect the price at that particular location. For example, the 56 cents per kilowatt hour actually happens to be a pass price, but I took it as the price. What that means is you got to be a premium member of Electrify America, so the price could be actually a little more for Electrify America if you are not a premium member. In other words, you pay a few dollars each month to get that particular price. So it may even be more than that is reflected here. So keep that in mind. And like I said, we have the New York State Thruway stops and EVgo. And look at the average in the results. And I think they're pretty enlightening for me because they satisfy what I was thinking was the case, that Tesla is significantly less than the cost of the other companies. Both if you have a Tesla, which is even better pricing, or a non-Tesla going to a Tesla supercharger. So those are basically, Tesla is showing itself as not only the lowest cost for Teslas, but even non-Teslas. And if you're familiar with Tesla superchargers, they've got the reputation, and I'll stand behind it, is my experience too, that they are clearly or arguably the best fast chargers in the country. Why is that? They're more reliable. There tends to be more superchargers at each location, so you don't have the waiting queue that sometimes exists at some of these other locations. So that's a great thing. So the bottom line is Tesla is showing itself as a really premier fast charging location for people that own Teslas or non-Teslas. So keep that in mind if you're driving an EV, or maybe you're considering an EV and you're not sure whether to go with a Tesla or not. Now, who knows how long these prices will stand, and whether as we get more and more electric vehicle chargers out there, the competition will get stronger. But right now, Tesla's leading the competition, and you ought to be aware of that. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this informative, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.